The key message is it's not rocket science. This virus needs a host to live in. It needs to transmit to another host. So if you give it nowhere to go by aggressively going after it, making sure whoever has it is isolated, then it'll burn itself out. That's how we've had other outbreaks burn themselves out too. Countries in East Asia are just seeing that actually the least worst option with this virus is to eliminate it and have border control. And that means you can have large rugby matches go ahead, like New Zealand has done, with spectators. You can have weddings go ahead. You can have kids back in school in a normal way. You can have pubs open and restaurants open. And so I think this obsession with 1 meters or 2 meters kind of misses the larger point, which is this is a virus that is here. How are we going to manage it? And what's your plan? Is your plan to let it run through, what Sweden has attempted? Is the plan to keep controlling it, but then you have to get the population to buy in, what that actually means for their daily lives? Or are you going to try to eliminate it? And how do you actually develop a game plan for that? When the virus first emerged and we didn't know much about it, there was obviously an idea that you could run it through populations, that actually it might be the optimal situation given the costs of elimination, the costs of control to society and to economies, that you should just let it run through. But I think what we've learned over the past few months is that's quite a dangerous strategy, not only for the deaths it causes, but also for the morbidity it causes in healthy adults. And so then you've seen a move from what we call mitigation, which is you let the virus go, you try to treat everyone, to suppression or control. And this is the way that Western Europe has gone, England currently, and other countries. And I think what we've learned is this virus can set off clusters very quickly and tip into community transmission. So while control is optimal in the sense that you can keep an eye on the virus, you need to have robust testing in place, tracing in place. You cannot have large gatherings. You cannot have weddings go ahead. You can't have people sitting in pubs in close quarters because distancing is not possible. You need schools reconfigured. And so how we have to think about the new normal is quite significantly different to our life currently. And there are costs associated with that. There are major costs to keeping kids apart from each other in school, especially young kids who need to interact and need to play in close contact with each other. And so looking further afield, we can now see that countries are starting to eliminate the virus, just get rid of it. New Zealand has done this. That was their strategy from the start. I mean, the goal, at least in Scotland, is we're looking ahead to schools opening on the 11th of August and thinking, what can we do in the next 6 weeks to really drive numbers low? It's really a strategic decision. So if we have, let's say, running 20 to 30 confirmed cases, we think in the community there's maybe 10 times that occurring. Do you say, okay, that's good enough, we can reopen the economy and get on, but you always have that threat? Or do you say we'll stay in lockdown a few more weeks and actually try to drive the numbers low enough that it becomes a negligible threat? And that's a strategic decision. I mean, I see it always as short-term pain for long-term gain, rather than the current position, which feels like purgatory. It's like a long, drawn-out suffering where the economy is obviously not going to ever recover if we don't have the virus, completely controlled.